Welcome, everybody, to episode 2 of The Moody Project. I'm your host, Stephen Moody. I want to say thank you to everyone who tuned in to episode 1. We got a lot of critiques and just a lot of good feedback, so we're going to try and make this show a lot better for you. I'm going to cut this short because I have a long interview with Charles Jackson, aka C Nice. We get into a bunch of stuff, including new music, the Drake and Pusha T beef, Migos, and their rise as solo artists. We'll get to all that in a minute, but I just want to say thanks again. We weren't able to release episode 2 last week due to Hurricane Michael. I want to send prayers out to everyone who was affected by that. And if you're out there and if you can or if you're willing to help out, just donate to your local shelters or your local Red Cross and see what they need. I'm sure people out there would greatly appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get to the top 5 albums from Billboard and the top 5 movies at the box office this week. The top 5 albums. Number 1 is A Star Is Born, the soundtrack, Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. Number 2 is Trench by 21 Pilots. Number 3, The Carter 5 by Lil Wayne. Number 4, Drip Harder by Lil Baby and Gunna. Number 5, Desperate Man by Eric Church. Now let's get to the top 5 movies at the box office. Number 1 is Venom. Number 2 is A Star Is Born. Number 3 is First Man. Number 4 is Goosebumps 2 Haunted Halloween. And number 5 is Small Foot. Now, I'm going to go right into this interview with Charles Jackson. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is a longer episode. You can listen to this on Spotify and on iTunes. Make sure to visit the website, TheMoodyProject.com. Here it is. And we are back from coverage of Hurricane Michael. And joining me is Charles. How you doing?
What up?
So, here's the thing about this. We were both out there in Statesboro, right?
Yeah.
And that was part of the reason I talked about earlier why we didn't release the second episode last week. But that was my first time covering that. How does that compare to the stuff that you covered in the past?
Matthew was probably the craziest in live storm coverage and aftermath, just because the aftermath, it took like a year for us to stop talking about cleanup, let alone clean up, in South Carolina or clean up like in Savannah. Like, it just took a year to continually talk about that. Irma, nothing really crazy. Harvey, nothing really crazy. What was the last one before Michael? Florence, yeah. Florence didn't really affect us, but I mean, I would say, I've covered like tornadoes and stuff like that, here on the islands and, just off of where you are on Chatham and everything like that. And it's just, Matthew was the worst.
That shit was kind of scary.
Yeah, Matthew was the worst.
I'm talking about Michael. Michael was kind of scary.
Michael was kind of light, though. Like, that was some light work. That was like a rainy day in Savannah, truthfully. But Matthew, being out in, like, the Sea Pines area on the island, and then, that's, like, where the rich white people live and stuff like that. And, they got all the Porsches, and that's the everyday car and all that kind of stuff. Like, to be out there, and then you just turn your headlights off, and you hear nothing in the woods, and you see nothing because it's so pitch black out there.
Man, that's Mississippi, man. Like, that's living in Mississippi. And as somebody who, grew up in Mississippi, that was a huge adjustment because I used to vacation down in Mississippi every year in the summer. But living there 365 days out of the year, that was an adjustment I had to make with, like, no lights. I remember my friend Brian came down back in, like, 2009.
Shout out, Brian.
Yeah, shout out to Brian. I don't know if my sister wants me to shout out Brian, but shout out Brian.
You a real one.
And he came down, and we picked him up at the airport in New Orleans. And as soon as we crossed the state line back into Mississippi, he started freaking out. He was like, "Where are the lights? Where are the lights?" And he ended up enjoying his trip, but that tripped him out. Just an adjustment. And,
it is.
Yeah, I had to make that same adjustment too when I moved here because crossing the bridge into South Carolina, and then having no lights in South Carolina for 40 minutes into your drive, that can be an adjustment too. But prayers out to everybody who was affected by Michael. If you can and if you're willing, please donate to your local Red Cross or local shelters. They surely need your support right now. And if there's anything that you can do right now, I'm sure they would appreciate it. Even just a prayer, I'm sure they would appreciate it. So hopefully that will be the last one we have to cover.
Knock on wood.
Knock on, I don't think this is what I think it's apothecary. I don't know. But knock on wood, hopefully that's the last one that we have to cover. But let's get into some hip-hop. That's the reason why you're here.
Yes, sir.
That's the reason why I'm
do
here.
It.
So, in our advantage, with all of the stuff happening in the past couple of weeks, a lot of music dropped too. So we had a chance to kind of digest everything. In that span, we've heard Lil Baby and Gunna. We've heard T.I. And there's a bunch of other stuff that came out as well.
Ghostface dropped something.
Ghostface dropped as well. I feel like I spoke that into existence, but shout out to Ghostface Killah. Shout out to the whole Wu-Tang Clan. And we got a lot of good music. No pun intended for the topic we're going to get to later.
Facts.
But Dime Trap with T.I., I thought it was one of the best produced albums of the year. We had a chance to listen to a little bit on the way back from Statesboro. What did you think?
I think it was dope. I like what T.I. did in planting Dave Chappelle in there. Not necessarily as like a skit, but just like to intro some of the tracks. I feel like that's exactly what I was talking about on that Logic track with Wu-Tang and what he missed by having all of them, like, you know, put the rah-rah noise in the background and stuff and put the karate effects or, you know. But I love Dave Chappelle's presence on the album. T.I. doesn't disappoint, man. It's very rare when T.I. disappoints or, like, misses the mark. I don't think he ever really misses the mark. He just might be a little off on his timing on, you know, releasing songs and if it's current to what's happening and, you know, in present day or if it's just, like, same trap, new trap moves, that kind of stuff. So, but I liked it. I think production was great. We definitely had that knocking in the news car. Shouldn't have been, but we definitely had that knocking in the news car. Yeah, man, it was overall. I think King is always going to be my favorite, just because I just figured it was a really, really dope album. That's kind of when I really got saturated in the T.I.'s music. But
we had a discussion yesterday. I thought at that era, you said Urban Legend. I thought King was when T.I., in my opinion, was considered to be the best rapper.
Oh, yeah, he was on top then.
Yeah.
He was on top.
And that was still when Wayne was kind of budding with that status. He was doing a lot of features preparing for the next installment of the Carter series. But no, man, I enjoyed it. The Lil Baby and Gunna, I can speak on that because I've had a chance to listen to it repeatedly over the past couple of weeks.
What'd you think?
I liked it. I wasn't expecting so much auto-tune on it, but I was a fan overall of the sound. I feel like that sound is obviously the wave that you're hearing. And just a couple of standouts. The Off-White joint featuring Nav. I'm a huge Nav fan, and a lot of people hate Nav. So, but I was a huge fan of his vocals on this. Let me pull up. Style Stiller, I can think of that off the top of my head. And, of course, the other joint with Drake to close out the album. I think if artists are going to have that Drake feature because he is, you know, I think undoubtedly the biggest rapper in the world. If you're going to have that Drake feature and you know hip-hop heads are going to listen to the album for the Drake feature, put it at the end of the album.
Or just don't insert it so you feel like it's going to make or break your work. Like,
right.
You don't want... That's the same thing. I think we spoke about this on the first one. That's the same thing that happened to Popcorn. Like, he did one dance, and it was over. You ain't heard nothing else from Popcorn in the States.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure, you know, back home in Jamaica, you know, he's making a lot of noise out there. But here, you was like one song away from popping, and now it's like you cold again.
I know we're probably going to get off on a tangent a lot in this podcast because there's no format like it was a couple of weeks ago. But did you hear that joint with him and Young Thug?
What, Popcorn?
Yeah. The Good Time joint.
I feel like I have.
It was like huge. It was playing on like Coca-Cola commercials and
yeah. I did hear. Oh, it was in 2K.
Yeah, it was in 2K.
Yeah, that song was lit.
Yeah, I thought that was like bar none song of the summer that year.
I feel like he'll get his shine, but he'll never get his just desserts here in the States. And I think that that's something that culturally music has to fix because we can take from other cultures with the Bali beats and, you know, the reggaeton and all that stuff like that, but we never give it its just desserts when we're playing it on our stations.
Speaking of the reggaeton, Drake and Bad Bunny released their song Mia last week. He was on the I Like It with Cardi B.
Word.
So,
that's him?
Yeah, that's him.
Oh, snap.
So he's been on a lot of pop songs. He's been working really, really hard, and I'm a huge fan of reggaeton in general. So to hear him, guys like him, and guys like J Balvin, and, you know, even Daddy Yankee resurfacing, it makes me happy to see that. And I really, really, really can't wait to see what that project and hear what that project is going to sound like. And Drake sounds really, really good. And I don't think it's going to be like a Justin Bieber Despacito type thing where, you know, he can't perform it at tours. I think he could probably do that on a tour. I've heard from a few people just from different podcasts that I listen to that it's easier for an artist to harmonize and to sing in Spanish than it is for somebody to, like, speak Spanish, just like a regular. Just like if you were reading the words. I guess that has something to do with the music. I'm not a producer. I'm not an artist. I have no idea what the hell it means. But I enjoy it. I thought the song was good.
That's pretty dope. I mean, I'm all for the crossovers, the mashups, all that. I feel like that's the only way you keep music fresh and rejuvenated is by adding these extra elements from different cultures. And I feel like that's where, not to go off on the political tangent real quick, but that's where the country, like, we'll starve ourselves if we don't keep reaching out to our brothers and sisters from these different cultures and spread the love all around full circle so that we're all getting a piece of the culture, whatever the culture is, whether it's the culture we create or the culture that's already developed and we're just trying to shed light on it. Like,
you can't put yourself in a bubble.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because everybody has their genre of music that they like. That's what makes music so great. It's subjective. That's the reason why artists, for the most part, will always thrive when it comes to touring.
Yeah.
Because their core fans will always go see them on tour. And that's the reason why they will continue to release the style of music that they want to release. And that's also what makes Drake, once again, the biggest artist in the world. The fact that he can see a sound and he can say, all right, then, that's hot right now. People gave Hove a lot of flack for that early on in his career, for seeing a style or seeing like a trend. And Hove is a trendsetter in his own right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But seeing a trend.
He's got 40 plus, 50 plus year olds growing afros out trying to get,
right.
sponges in their hair and going to the shops and getting blackouts and shit. Like, everybody's doing that now.
Yeah, he's a cultural icon. And I see the similarities between the two in that regard, to where Drake stays relevant by catering to his fans, but also growing his fan base by going out and reaching out to, a Popcorn or to like a Bad Bunny or, or to like a Skepta or somebody like that, and just bringing in that. And it doesn't hurt. I don't understand the argument that it hurts the artist to reach out to other artists and to put them on. I get where people say that he may steal the style and not give artists their just due. That's a completely different argument. But
yeah, I think we always, for whatever reason, I'm always going to have that affliction towards Post, just because I don't feel like...
Okay, here we go.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, we'll get right into this. I don't feel like he's, he's spreading the love like he should. Like, I feel like he's just taking. Like, it got to a certain point with Drake where it was just like, all right, you've carved your own lane, you've developed your own sound, you've got a slew of producers and people soundscaping the shit out of your shit. What's it going to take for you to stay relevant?
And my argument back for Post is it works. And nobody's going to look at a guy like a Lil Dicky for, and people, I don't think people take Lil Dicky seriously. I don't know why. Professional rapper, if you guys haven't heard it, that song is all you need to know about his ability as an artist and as a rapper. But we had this discussion a week ago about the Grammys potentially, and I say potentially because I don't know if this is fact or not, but potentially moving his album out of the best hip-hop album category into the best pop album category.
Yeah, you were kind of upset about that.
I was, and it has everything to do with me not only, being a fan of the album, but being a fan of the genre. Hip-hop, and I'll say it again, hip-hop is the youngest genre of music that there is.
One more time.
Hip-hop is the youngest genre of music there is. So when you look at the way rap has grown over the past 30, 40 years, what you see now is not what it's going to be in the next 5 or 10 years. And that's what makes rap what it is. That's what makes hip-hop what it is. So to see a guy like Post, who is trying to, even if he doesn't care for hip-hop, which he said before that he doesn't try to make hip-hop music or whatever he said, it's still hip-hop in a way. When you look at Billboard, when you look at the Grammy certification, when you look at all of the things that he's done with this album, Beer Bongs and Bentleys, it's a hip-hop album. So my argument is, if the Grammys heard that album the first time, classified it as hip-hop, why now, how many odd weeks or months later, do you listen to it and say it's a pop album? What changed from the first time you listened to it to the last time? It's the same songs, it's the same hooks, the same melodies, the same verses, same production. Nothing has changed on that album. I think it's just unfair to him as an artist to take him out of his lane, or where his lane has been on the charts that you set.
But do you think he actually cares at the end of the day, or do you think it's like, okay,
I think if he loses, he cares.
I get these numbers in this other lane, and that's going to help me ultimately branch out when I want to, or whenever I feel like I'm not doing quote-unquote hip-hop, or not trying to do quote-unquote hip-hop?
I don't think hip-hop artists give a shit about the Grammys. I think Post in general should care, because if he let's get this straight, if he loses, he should care. Because if he wins, now not only is he one of the biggest rap artists in the world, he's one of the biggest pop artists in the world.
And I kind of see your argument with that, since that whole AMA thing happened with the Migos, and it's like, how are they getting an award in a rock category?
Yeah.
And they're the farthest thing from rock since anything rock that you can name.
Right.
Like,
I wasn't a huge fan of the AMAs because they had Rihanna nominated, and I love Rihanna. Anti is like one of my favorite albums.
hi Rihanna.
Hi, Rihanna. It's one of my favorite albums this decade. I love that album top to bottom, from the joint with SZA at the top to the single Work, the Same Old Mistakes with Tame Impala. That entire album works. But she released that album in 2016. It was a big controversy with Alessia Cara earlier this year when she won the Grammy for Best New Artist.
Yeah.
And she released Here back in 2015.
Yeah, I can see that.
And, Four Pink Walls was dope. I love that album. But why is she winning over an artist like Khalid, who literally came out the summer prior?
Swinging, by the way. He came out swinging. Like, everybody wanted that sound for the most part.
Yeah, with the production. And I've had my arguments with Khalid and Frank Ocean. I think they sound very, very similar. You can't tell me differently. But just getting back to the whole Grammy thing, I think he should care if he loses. Because if he loses, then I feel like he should feel like he was robbed. Like, obviously, I don't think he's going to win. He's going to be up against albums like Astroworld and Scorpion and Everything Is Love and Daytona and Yay, Kids See Ghosts. The slew of rap albums, Invasion of Privacy, Queen, all of the rap albums, like Culture 2. Nasir, all of the rap albums that came out that he could reasonably lose to. This is the most competitive year in hip-hop that we've seen in a very, very long time. I just think he deserves to be there.
So do you think after naming all those names that they switched him up in the category so he would get a fair shake?
I think he should be offended if they did, because his music should speak for itself.
But then again, like, what if the turnout from this is like...
If you put Cristiano Ronaldo in the MLS right now, and you do that to boost up the ratings, you're telling your league that at the end of the day, your players aren't good enough to get it done by themselves, so we have to bring a superstar in. Obviously, it's not the same with pop. He's going to be going up against artists like Taylor Swift and Shawn Mendes and a bunch of other artists that he has no chance in hell in beating.
That's very true. I didn't think about it like that, so thank you for shedding light for your Post Malone fandom that you have.
It's not even fandom. It's a fairdom, if that's a word.
Fairdom.
It's a fairdom. It has to be fair. You can't move the goalposts, because my argument is the same album that you classified as a rap album weeks ago and probably months ago is the same album that you're now classifying as a pop album, and that doesn't work for me, because what changed? If you want to cross genre, fine, do that. People do that with X's music all the time.
Oh, speaking of which, I don't know if you just saw them tweet out, but he will not be getting in for the Grammys. He's not going to be able to be nominated for whatever reason. I didn't look into the story. I'm sure you will, because you're a very thorough individual. But yeah, they're not letting him in on the Grammys for whatever reason.
I can see that because of his past.
I think it was Best New Artist that they weren't letting him in for.
I can see that because he might win.
And
I mean, they choose the winners, but he might win. He might reasonably win, and then the backlash from that might be too much for them to bear. And they already have an issue giving rappers a platform. We've seen it before. They invite hip-hop artists and rap artists to perform and to put on a fantastic show. And then at the end of the day, they give them their awards for their subgenres and the categories.
That
and then
nice
they send
chicken
them home.
cordon bleu sitting in the corner getting cold while you up there performing and whatnot.
Yeah, you get your catering. You get your subgenre award for best rap album and... Oh, the new category, best rap performance.
What do you think the catering is like at the Grammys? You think it's like finger foods or it's like some good stuff?
It's finger foods. You can't have John Legend in a white suit eating, a full 12-ounce steak.
I'm not talking ribs or nothing. I'm just saying, like
What do I think? What do I think catering is like? I think it's good. I think it's fancy.
I wonder if we can get a menu, but legit, they start putting a menu out every year.
Let's get nominated for a spoken word Grammy, and then we'll see for ourselves. If that's
me clapping for you, by the way.
That's a what do the kids say? That's a facti with an I.
A factory?
I think me and my friends are the only people. Shout out Jonathan. I think me and my friends are the only people that say facti with an I.
Shout out Jonathan.
But let's get back to the music conversation. LMA, her new album dropped as well, and I really liked it. I'm just gonna give my standouts from it. This album makes me feel happy. And it makes me feel happy because it takes me back to like an 07, 08 R&B type vibe. And it feels really, really good to listen to and ride with in the car. So Good Bad is my favorite song off of this album. That's the second track right after the intro. I love Sauce. I love Shot Clock. Shot Clock. She uses the flow from Drake with Legend. Like all I know, she uses that flow going into the chorus, and then from that to the interlude at the end of Shot Clock into Booed Up. That might be my favorite transition into a song all year.
Really?
Yeah, because I'll play it afterward. We both heard the album. I'll play it afterwards so we can hear it again. But just her speaking and her lovely accent going into Boot Up. That might be the first single that I've listened to on the album.
What's Boot Up?
Yeah, like on in album. And what I mean when I say that is usually an artist to boost streaming sales, they'll put the single that they've been rocking for a year on the album, even though it may or may not match the rest of the album, and they'll put it on the album to boost the streaming. Drake probably started that with One Dance on Views, and they've continued on since then. Most recently, Travis Scott with what song was that on Astroworld that he put? It was the single. Was it
Not Sicko Mode.
No, it wasn't single. It was Sicko Mode. And this is my album of the year, Goosebumps.
Oh yeah. Goosebumps was lit. Goosebumps was actually lit.
No, not Goosebumps. Butterfly Effect.
That was actually lit too.
Yeah. He put Butterfly Effect on the album. I'm not gonna cut that out either. I actually just looked on my phone, put that in my streaming service.
Oh no, we're real out here, man.
Yeah. I make mistakes. I cut out like 4 minutes of content for the first episode because I wanted it to be so perfect.
You're shitting your listeners, bro.
Yeah, man. Like I
apologize.
I'm sorry, people out there. It won't happen again. It probably won't happen again because I've said some stuff that I probably can't say. But Butterfly Effect was on the album, but Boot Up, I didn't skip it because a lot of people, it's a Twitter joke now. Like it's a trend. Like when artists put out these albums, it's like, oh, like my reaction when One Dance comes on, my reaction when Butterfly Effect comes on, and like they skip it. So I didn't skip it. I listened to it because that record works every single time.
Now, I feel like I've heard a bunch of rumblings on Twitter back and forth about R&B being so, quote unquote dead, or there's no real true R&B artist. And then once this album came out, a lot of people were saying, wow, R&B is alive in LMA. People really love this album.
Lloyd is alive, people. Lloyd literally just released an album a couple of months ago.
And that's fire.
That's one of my favorite albums of the year. Caramel is a dope single. Were you rocking with the album cover?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Shout out Lloyd, too, by the way. You've always been giving out thorough, great R&B music, and got a hell of a voice, bro. Do that.
It was the album cover.
Oh, you played me. Yeah, this man just played the hell out of me. Knowing I didn't see the album cover, got this man going full D'Angelo with a guitar. That's weird.
No, I wanted to say, because me and my mom have a very close relationship with music, so I send her a playlist that I make on Spotify and Apple Music all the time, so she can stay up to date with the latest hits. And when I heard that record, I was like, yo, my mom would love this.
Shout out to Mom, dude. She's a real one.
Shout out to my mom. And then I looked at it, I was like, nah, I'll tell her over the phone. I'm not going to send her that album cover and then have her calling me oh, what the hell did you just send me?
Damn, this man just set me up for the okie doke on that, too.
But, yeah, you were a fan of the album. I was a fan of the album. Shout out Lloyd. I think we've gotten all the new albums out of the way that we wanted to talk about. Okay, out of all three of those projects, I would say T.I.'s album was my favorite project that came out a couple weeks ago, which is...
we didn't even get into the Styles P and Dave East.
Yeah.
And that was hard. I actually just started seeing visuals for that. And that's a hard... Listen, man. It's almost like if you had a Jada Kiss and Styles P album happen. It's reckless. It's reckless to be sitting there in your car listening to that at X amount of time in the day or in the morning.
It does have that Locks vibe.
It had, bruh, I felt like I was back up north. I felt like I needed to go get my hoodie on and my Timbs out and just say F the world and keep it moving.
I get the same feeling when I listen to those two as individual artists, listening to SP and listening to the Davies, that I get when I listen to an artist like another New York artist like an A$AP Rocky, or even the entire A$AP Mob, even Playboi Carti.
Yeah.
When Magnolia was rocking, and Jay-Z, when he was putting the inspirations for 444 on Tidal, he put Magnolia on that list, on his playlist, on Tidal, and I wasn't really rocking with it then like I had heard it and I liked it, but I went that night and I watched the video, and that song is amazing. I want more from Cardi, and even last year he had a huge year last year. Magnolia, Woke Up Like This. He had the joint with Lana Del Rey and ASAP Rocky, so he's crossing over. New York rap. Like, come on,
It's coming back, man.
come on, New York rap.
It's taking its time, but it's coming back. Real quick before we transition into something else that's a little bit more hard hitting for what's going on right now. What do you think the next single is going to be off of LMA's album? And do you think Jacquees is going to jock that in some kind of way and flip it and have everybody going apeshit over the song regardless?
I think Sauce is gonna be the next single.
I think Dangerous is going to be the next one.
I'll be okay with either one. And shout out, can we give a congratulations? I don't have an applause button. I'm not that high production of a podcast yet, but I want to give a round of applause to DJ Mustard for putting out this project with this very, very talented young lady in LMA. I can't wait to hear more from her. And Mustard hasn't missed yet.
He really hasn't.
He has not missed yet. So congratulations to DJ Mustard and LMA on this fantastic album. If you want to listen to it, it is LMA by LMA is available on all your streaming services and wherever music is sold. It's 16 tracks. It's available right now per 10 Summers Records. Congratulations to her on a huge, huge week. And I cannot wait to hear more from her in the future. Congratulations. Take the holiday off, because unless you want to give us a Christmas record, I would take that.
Yo, that'd be lit. If she did like a Christmas album or something, bro, I'm all for it. Why isn't there any hip hop Christmas albums?
There was. There wasn't any hip hop Christmas albums. There was the Chance and Jeremiah mixtape that was on SoundCloud.
Come on, B.
And the Christmas in Harlem record. You wasn't rocking with the Christmas in Harlem, the Kanye West, Tiana Taylor, and Sci-Hi?
It was alright, but I'm talking like
That's
full
like top
fledged.
10 Christmas songs for me.
I'm talking like full fledged, like you could put this on during the holidays and not feel kind of crazy.
Well, hell, if somebody doesn't unlock the studio for Migos, I'm pretty sure Migos will have one.
Facts.
Migos is putting out a Halloween, Christmas,
12 days of Christmas, yeah, like some stuff like that. It'd be lit. It would be hot though. I'd mess with
and
it.
Takeoff would still have the best verse.
He really would.
I can't. But let's talk about Migos. Let's get with the shits with Migos, because Quavo released his Honcho album, and it wasn't really good to a lot of people. A lot of people didn't like it. I'm going to go down the track list right now and go through my standouts, because I was very critical of this album first listening. I was having a bad morning. It was on a Friday morning. It was the first cold morning that we've had in Savannah since like probably March. And I was just in a really, really bad mood. But I'll listen to it later. I got my nap. I got my coffee. And I listened to it later. And I still wasn't a big fan, but I was less harsh on it. So my standouts were Pass Out featuring 21 Savage, because I always love a 21 Savage feature. I wasn't a fan of Flip the Switch featuring Drake. I wasn't a fan of that. But Champagne Rose featuring Madonna and Cardi B. I Keep That Shit featuring Takeoff. And Honcho Dreams, the response to the Barbie Dreams record. Did you get a chance to hear the album? What did you think? What's your general opinion on him as a solo artist?
I didn't get a chance to hear the album in its entirety, and I really was just trying to hone in on the Honcho Dreams, just because that was all the buzz on Twitter and on every other social media platform. But I really liked it. I liked how he flipped everything that happened and was able to just talk about it like an open book. I think that's important for not only younger artists, but just artists out here in general. Like, you don't got to lie anymore. There is no more honor in being fugazi on wax, so to speak, or on streams if you want to be politically correct.
I just found out what all of that means. Yay, me.
Yeah, seriously. But there's no reason to not be yourself on your music, especially if you've had a tenure like Migos and been the front runners on a lot of the stuff in hip hop for the last couple of years, man. Like from features to singles to crossovers, all the Calvin Harris stuff. Like, they actually made names for themselves the whole percent of the way. So I really feel like, aside from this solo project, the other two solo projects are going to be great. I think the 2019 Culture 3 may or may not be good. We can, that'll be, remains to be seen, but I think it's going to be all right. I feel pretty confident that, they're going to make Leo or Cohen eat his words and, you know what I mean? Just like rock out.
QC has been on a run. QC Quality Control, the label in which that Migos is signed to, they've been on a run. So Culture 2 comes out, right? And then they have Quavo's album come out. Lil Yachty's about to drop something pretty soon.
Yeah, like tomorrow, right? Friday?
Yeah.
Or when this airs, Friday?
Probably, yeah. I have to double check. But they've been on a run this summer. But how good does the run have to be for you guys to be like, all right, then, I'm going to let this breathe? Because there's an oversaturation, in my opinion, of that sound. Don't get me wrong. Migos will always have the club hits and the club singles. They'll keep a single. They'll keep something on the radio, in the tuck, for people to play and to perform. They probably make millions. No, they definitely make millions touring in these clubs in these different cities. And they're all, the Drake and the Three Amigos tour.
Yeah.
They make so much money touring. I just want them to be like, all right, then. We're going to let the shit rock. We just released this. I'm doing my thing. You guys are doing your thing. And go from there in the next 6-7 months.
Maybe they'll just, like, chill out and relax in, like, Black History Month. Like, maybe that's the stopping point for Migos. So then by the time the summer comes back around, they got, like, 4 more albums to put out.
I'm really, I don't know. I don't know. It's like, I'm really happy about their work ethic, because it seems like ever since Versace made radio waves when Drake jumped on it, they've been nonstop. What's your favorite Migos song? Offer it. What's your favorite Migos song?
Oh man. And I know I'm taking a minute to think on it, like there's so many, but
there's literally a lot.
There's a lot of Migos songs out there that kind of just like comb through in my head. I think the one that I played you off of, whatever mixtape that was, Go Outside, Can't Go Outside, that was like probably one of the best, because that was the first time I heard Migos over a sample. And me being a producer first, when I listen to music, like, to hear some guys from the A over some sample beat, it was really, 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 like, rewarding. I was like, oh, snap, they're fitting to go in on the shit, and it's going to be hard. And they absolutely, Even Takeoff. Even Takeoff was, like, one of the hardest verses on the song. I've never heard this man rap so good in his life. Damn it, man. Be like that all the goddamn time. No more activists, no more weed before you record. Definitely no more weed before you record at the NBA anything, because I didn't like your stir-fry performance at all.
At the All-Star game?
At the All-Star. That was horrible.
Nobody had a good performance that night.
I feel like I had to change the channel like I'm watching the VMAs or something. Shout out MTV, by the way. I felt like I had to change the channel just like to not mess with it and not make that like taint the image that I have of Migos out here in the streets.
And that's the issue. It's like, how long is it going to go before you just can't avoid it anymore? And you have to listen to it. And when you listen to it, you're not going to like it. Because it's going to be inevitable. There's going to be something from your artist going to be like, I'm not really rocking with that.
Yeah.
It happens with everybody.
It does.
Jay-Z is the greatest rapper that ever lived, subjectively. In my opinion, greatest rapper to ever live. But for every Blueprint and Reasonable Doubt, you're going to have, and I think these albums are really good, you're going to have A Kingdom Come.
I knew you were going to say Kingdom Come. I don't know why people hate Kingdom Come. Kingdom Come, listen, Kingdom Come had one of the hardest singles on there. Like, Show Me What You Got was lit. Just Blaze flipping the damn She's a Super Freak sample, the Rick James sample. You didn't think that was hard, bro?
I thought it was hard. Yeah, I thought the single was hard. But you remember when Jordan retired after winning 3 consecutive rings?
Okay.
And then he came back wearing the 4-5?
Uh-huh.
And the Bulls didn't win a championship that year?
Uh-huh.
It happens. Jay-Z dropped the Black Album, man.
But yeah, so in all fairness, though, with the Black Album, like, you gotta understand, people expect this man to never rap again. Like, features, none of that shit. So I didn't expect it. Me, at whatever age I was when the Black Album came out, I was like, oh man, this is it. I've been listening to this dude with my brother since I was like 8 years old in the car. Like, this man, this is it. I studied the Black Album.
I was 10. I cried. I thought it was it.
I mean, I even like enjoyed the Allure track with Pharrell and the whole controversy behind Hove not really wanting to do the beat, but then when he did it, bro, that's one of my favorite songs on that album.
What, Allure?
The Allure.
You talking about the Black Album?
Yeah, The Allure. The Allure is what, like, if you really sit and listen to, like, I can't even get into it, man. It'll like, I have to go sit and listen in the car now. Like, it is one of the best Jay-Z songs that's the most underrated in my opinion.
The album, the body of work after that. But, for every Reasonable Doubt and Blueprint, you're going to have
A Kingdom Come.
A Kingdom Come. Thank you. You're gonna have a Magna Carta, and I like Magna Carta.
Magna Carta was fresh.
Tom Ford, Somewhere in America, Magna Carta, like the title track with Justin Timberlake. That's still my favorite intro of all time on an album. Like
that shined through.
But I didn't have Sprint at the time, so I wasn't gonna be able to buy the album off rip because that was before streaming became like super big, and it wasn't on iTunes. So, staying up and listening to Hot 97 on the iHeart radio app and like waiting for it to loop over. I'm like, oh, that's it. It's all, and having to deal with Funk Flex yelling all over these Timbaland beats. That was the one album that I went to, but it's still not critically acclaimed to what everybody wants it to be.
How do we get in the Hove?
Because we were talking about Migos and the oversaturation, and I said for every good album that you hear with Migos, it's gonna get to the point where it's an oversaturation, and you can't avoid it. Because you were saying like you had to change the channel because you didn't want to taint your image. I
really didn't. It's kind of like Drake too. Like for every song that Drake puts out, I didn't start becoming a Drake fan until Views from the 6.
And that's a lot of people hate that album.
It wasn't oversaturated with the R&B side and then the rap side. It was like you had a healthy mix of both.
I love that album, but something very traumatic happened to me. A lot of bad stuff happens to me when Drake drops albums, apparently. Not all the time, but sometimes. So
Speak on it, bro.
When Nothing Was the Same dropped, I went to Best Buy and I got the album, and I had probably an hour before class. So I went around the corner from my college at William Carey, and if you guys have ever been to Hattiesburg, there's a police station, and you keep driving, and there's a little park. And
I can see it.
In broad daylight, I'm playing basketball, and a guy walks up to me. He has a pimp cup in his hand, no lie, dead ass, a pimp cup in his hand, embroiled, whatever you call it. Embroidered, yeah, with, I can't even say the word, with some fake diamonds in it. He had his other hand in his pocket. And I didn't know what was going on. I was just playing ball. I'm like, okay, cool, because people pass through the park. He stops, says, hey, man, it's a nice basketball. Let me see it real quick. And I was like, sure. So he puts the pimp cup down, still keeping his hand in his pocket. And he says, oh, I like this. I'm going to keep it. Mind you.
What the Friday?
Mind you, it's broad daylight. I don't mean 7 o'clock crack of dawn daylight. I mean it is 11 o'clock in the morning. And he just jacked me for my basketball.
Did he take his cup or did he leave his cup?
No, he took the cup. But let me finish. We're in front of a police station. He looks at me, says, what else you got?
Oh, word?
Luckily for me, the only thing I had in my pocket were my car keys, my Visine.
And the Drake album, right?
No.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to say that.
That would be funny. My Visine and my lip balm, my chapstick. He took my Visine.
I knew you were going to say that shit.
He took my Visine and he took my lip balm. And in one swoop motion, you cupped something?
Yeah, cuffing season. It's out here.
Yeah, so he dropped the ball, picked this pimp cup up, and he was playing jacks. He dropped the ball, swoop, picked his pimp cup up in the same motion, picked up the basketball, cupped up the basketball, and left.
Screw.
So I left home with no basketball,
no chapstick,
no Visine, and a brand new copy of Nothing Was the Same. So that happened,
and nothing was the same.
Nothing was the same. I got home. I was like, what the hell just happened? My mom, she was like, oh, what's going on? I got robbed
in front of a police station, Mom.
And she's like, oh my God, you okay? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm really, hamming this up. This is an episode of Degrassi. I'm thinking oh, he only took my basketball. But the reason why I didn't fight him, because I mentioned earlier, he had his other hand in his pocket, never took it out of his pocket. I wasn't about to die for no basketball.
You know it was in there. The Banaki he stole from somebody else.
Probably. And it wasn't even a good basketball. It was some shitty N1 green and black basketball that my brother gave me because he didn't want to give me an actual basketball.
Shout out to your bro.
No. No. Thanks, bro, for that ball. I just want you to know that somebody with a very nice pimp cup has it right now. And then Nothing was the same, literally. And then Views came out. And something traumatic happened. I'm not willing to speak on it, but for people who know, But yeah, man, how do we get on this?
I don't know, but Views is definitely my favorite Drake
Oh,
album.
we were talking about like different albums and like favorite albums and stuff from artists. But if Views is your favorite album, I still think Take Care is a masterpiece.
It is.
Yeah. So
I won't argue that. It is. It's good.
I think Drake too is one of those artists where he can take like 5 or 6 months off and it feels like he never left.
Yeah.
Because he did it between More Life and this project. And the stuff that's happened between More Life and Scorpion. Oh boy. And nothing good ever happens when somebody says oh boy, by the way. But we had the J-Lo stuff, which came out right after More Life. Remember the Teenage Fever track?
Oh, yeah.
Which in today's climate, I don't know. I'm gonna cut that part.
Yikes.
Yeah. But with that, yeah, the J-Lo controversy. And then the situation with Pusha T. So let's get into that now. Pusha T recently went on radio a few weeks ago. And he was talking about the trend of 25 tracks or more. And he was saying how he wasn't really rocking with it. And for those who listened to the Good Summer rollout in June, you know that his album dropped first. Nas's album came out second.
Yeah, believe so.
Kanye third. Kanye and Cudi fourth. Tiana Taylor fifth. And he spoke about it all being 7 songs and him kind of rocking with that. The shorter albums, the better, and him having to adjust to that climate. Well, Scorpion was 2 sides. It was about 24, 25 songs. It was a lot of music. And for somebody like me who I can't just let shit go, I got to connect the dots to everything. I was like, okay, that might be a solo shot at Drake. So then LeBron James, he has a show called The Shop on HBO when him and friends sit down and they talk while getting a haircut, or in LeBron's case, while getting his beard cut. And they just talk about stuff. So this past week, he had Victor Oladipo, Ben Simmons, Elena Delle Donne from the WNBA.
She fine, too.
She's an amazing, amazing basketball player. Mo Bamba, and Drake. And they're all sitting down talking with Maverick Carter, who is the curator of the show and probably the moderator, if you really wanted to go there.
He's a pretty big voice on the show right now.
Yeah, that's somebody who LeBron, and for those who know LeBron's camp, Maverick Carter is his #1 go-to guy. They were talking to Drake, and Drake spoke candidly about the beef. And the way he explains it is Kanye called him, because we know him and Kanye used to be, or they were neighbors, and they had like a really close relationship at one point. And Kanye called him up. And the way Drake put it, Drake described it as Kanye trying to sell him on a dream and selling him on this idea of, I want to work with you.
Pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, the pursuit of happiness. So the blase, Drake books a trip to Wyoming. And Drake goes to Wyoming in the middle of June. I'm not going to say middle of June, probably before June. And he goes out there to work on music. He thought he was working on his music, but then we found out he was working on Kanye's album. Backtrack. His producer, OVO 40, his guy.
Shout out 40.
Shout out to 40. 40 told him, man, this shit don't feel right. According to Drake, he said, man, this doesn't feel right. Drake says, oh, what's going on? He said, oh, he's working on something. Drake still goes. This seems like the plot of a horror movie right off the bat. And this is the part where us, as African-American gentlemen, jump up and say, what the hell are you doing? Don't go. Like, don't go into that house, right? So he goes to Wyoming anyway. Kanye gives him the Lift Yourself beat. You know, the poopity scoop.
Yeah.
He gives him the Lift Yourself beat.
Which I'm a fan of, by the way.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of it anymore, if this story is true.
If this story is true, that makes that track and everything that happened with that track shitty, not only by comparison, but by association.
Let's just get into it, because I want to talk to you as a producer about how you would have played that situation. Obviously, like, you're not you're not Kanye, but I'm not Kanye either. And the artists, or, the people that we talk to aren't level of Drake. So how would you play that? If an artist, you give that artist a beat, and then allegedly, in order to sabotage him putting a track out with that beat, you hop up and say poopity scoop for a minute and 30 seconds. How would you play that? Would you do that to an artist? Or would you flat out tell them, hey, like, this isn't going to work? How would you play that?
I'd like to think that I have a little bit more respect for the people that come to me for music. Not only other beat makers that want to collab, but rappers or singers or whoever, spoken word artists. I know a couple of y'all too. I wouldn't have done that. I feel like it's incredibly disrespectful to sell somebody on a dream. You selling somebody on that dream, basically, the way it looks to me is you're doing a favor for them, and they're scratching your back in the process, and you guys are being, you're both being creators as your birthright. You're both creating something fantastic. I don't like that. Recently, somebody just hit me for like an album's worth of beats, and something happened in their situation and they couldn't do it, and I get a text, oh, well, if you want, I could just rap on your beats and say that I did something for you. And it's like, no, don't do that. There's man hours that goes into music, Steven. Mm-hmm. There's man hours that goes into writing lyrics, unless you're Drake. That's not a shot, I'm just saying. I don't really know what's up with that. Or Kanye. Facts. Or Kanye. But I don't appreciate that. And I really feel like you steal away from the life force and the soul of a musician when you taint that relationship by selling a false dream or a false ideal on what the end goal is going to be. And I really like you to chime back in on that, because I know if that would have happened to you on any other record, you would have taken that very, very personal.
If I was doing a story, right, and I see a fellow reporter that works with me, like at the same station, and I say, all right, then, this is probably going to be not even like a package or like, even like a Volside or something like that. And I know that's like TV terms, but a short story or a long story.
30 seconds or a minute.
Yeah, 30 seconds or a minute. And I say, all right, then, I know I'm off in 10 minutes, right? So I'm going to give you this story. We're both here. And this is so irrational. This would never happen. But I say, all right, I'm going to give you this story because I'm about to go home. I've been here all day. And the person says, cool. So I write the story up. I don't track it. I don't put my voice over it. But I write the story up. I shoot the footage. And I interview the subjects. And I hand this to that reporter. But unbeknownst to that reporter, what I did was completely shit over the entire thing. Make it the worst thing, the shakiest video, the worst shots with, stumbling sound and mic clips and all of that. And I give it to you and I say, here.
It's ready.
It's ready, right? So if I make a promise to do something, or even as a producer, if I'm producing and I know that my anchor is going to rely on me to give him or her what they need to be successful out there on that desk, and in the middle of them reading a story, I flip the prompter, so what they're reading isn't what I told them they were going to be reading. It's the same premise. You can't hang people out to dry after telling somebody that you were going to give them something that was theirs. I feel like there's a code with that. I'm not a part of that code because I'm not a musician. I just know how I treat people.
Oh, well, I mean, the violation alone is just that, like you said, you promise something, you're supposed to be giving out that good product, whatever it is, and then what you get from that is just the return. That's the cut. That's what you get off of that. Yeah, man, it's a smack to the face. I'm not gonna lie. Like, just how Drizzy wanted to say, or how he said, that's a punch in the face. That's a punch in the face. Like, not only is that a gut punch, but it's like it's an insult. Like, the hell do you mean you're just gonna rap over my stuff and do poopity scoop, and that's the wave now?
And not only are you going to do that, but you're going to bring me out here thinking that you're going to work on my album. I'm going to give you my release date, which was very stupid on his part. I'm going to give you my release date. I'm going to play you the most intimate song I've ever written in my life about a situation that I'm telling you about for the first time, and give you all of this information in ammo. Drake kind of did this to himself. And I love Drake as an artist, but if 40's telling you that this is a bad move, if you've been beefing with that camp for the past 6 or 7 years, what did you think was going to happen? Like, Kanye West has produced songs for you where you've gone at his own artists. what made you think that he wasn't going to afford that same respect to somebody he pays or somebody that he's getting money with? So, as shitty as it is, that would be like me walking into traffic in the middle of rush hour, in downtown Broughton Street. Like, I know what I'm getting myself into. I may make it across that street, but if I don't make it across that street, I'm not gonna blame the person who just smacked me. No,
Yeah, it's your fault. You're out there.
it's my fault that I'm out there. So let's get into Pusha T. Pusha T appeared on the Joe Budden podcast, which is my favorite podcast, and one of the inspirations for me to finally get off my ass and put out this podcast.
Thank you, Joey.
Thank you, Joey. And he had Pusha T on his most recent episode, which came out this week. And it was a good 3-hour interview with Pusha T talking about the situation. And Pusha got right with it. He said, one, Kanye never told him about the situation with his baby mother and his son. Two, it was 40 talking to a woman that he was, intimate with, that he was sleeping with, that told him about the situation. So, and then going off of that, he confirmed the rumors that Drake did have $100,000 for information, which I don't have a problem with that, because in hip-hop, if you claim, and Pusha didn't have a problem with that. He clearly said that he didn't have a problem with that because it's hip-hop. His problem was the fact that Drake took offense to the 40 comment, talking about, his
Your producer's
illness.
dying.
Yeah. And Pusha, end quote. That was a quote. He said, "I never wished him death, but I don't care." And he released the tapes of Drake's associates, which was Pusha T was at her baby shower, and he knew her personally. He was going to invite her to his wedding. Somehow the OVO camp got to her and said, "I need you to go get information on them." And she went and called associates in Virginia that Pusha hadn't talked to in years.
Dissension in the ranks.
People that he was beefing with
Jeez.
in hip hop, but it's such a code that they called him. People that he hadn't talked to, that he had lost touch with because he had been beefing with them for years, called him or text him on Instagram and said, "Hey, Push, call me. We got to talk. Drake is trying to get us to get information on you for over $100,000.
You know, the only thing that makes this even better, or would make this even better, is if all this information came from No Malice. If all they did was just call up No Malice and was like, "Yo, let's talk about your big bro or your twin. Let's talk about your twin real quick. What's going on? What's happening? What's the dirt? What's the tea? Where the shade at? It's hot out here. Where the shade?" It's kind of...
Yeah, it's getting to the point now for me where it's like...
It's a soap opera, bro.
It's a soap opera. It's a soap opera. And there has to be... Because there's a double standard all the time. And it sucks. Because Joe Budden even said, picture all of these parties in a nail salon or somewhere. And they're all women.
Spicy.
And they're all... And now we're criticizing them for doing all this stuff just because they're women. We have to hold our male rappers to the same respect that we hold our women rappers to. We can't look at a Cardi and Nicki situation and say, "Oh, they need to, patch that shit up because that's childish and that's just straight up petty what they're doing." And then look at Pusha T and Drake and be like, "Oh man, I'm so invested in this. I love this." It's like, no.
All right, hold on. In full respect to those situations, if Pusha T and Drake got into an altercation and there was a shoe thrown at somebody and then Drake pops up with a lump over the eye, guarantee we'd be talking different about this right now. Right or wrong?
Yeah, very, very right. But here's my opinion on that. Take the shoe stuff out of it.
Okay.
All the subs that were going on between Cardi and Nicki before that. The Motorsport record, when they were dissing each other on the same damn song.
Yeah.
All of the subs. And Drake is really good, and so is Pusha. They're really, really good at sending shots at people, and nobody thinks they're sending shots at people. So at the end of the day, they can be like, "Well, no, I wasn't. I don't know what you're talking about. This is just music, fam."
So what do you think is going to happen?
I think it's done. I think it's done. Unless Drake really, really wants to step back into the ring with a track, I think it's done. Pusha T sounded hella confident on that interview. He played the audio from those conversations. He is ready for all of it. The fact that he waited this long to divulge the information about 40 lets me know that he had a song explicitly stating that. He had something in the talk explicitly exposing that. And this is all speculation. Obviously, there's 3 sides to every story and yada, yada, yada. His story, Drake's story, and the truth. Whatever you choose to believe, I choose to believe that Kanye still gave Pusha T that information because the timelines match up. Plus, okay then, where do you find this young lady that 40 was sleeping with?
Oh, and that's what I was getting ready to say. Not to be funny about the whole situation, but I'm just glad 40 out here get some action. Like, I didn't think that 40 was out here moving like that, but now that I know he is, respect the 40, man. You a real one out here. Even though your name's being dragged through the mud on both sides of the fence right now, you out here. I respect you.
And even to 40 himself, we do know that 40 does have a history of, I'm not going to say not keeping his mouth shut, but being loose-lipped. There was a situation with Drake and academics where academics were getting all this stuff, and I can pull it up here, but Drake wasn't really happy, and the rumored source was OVO 40. So, taking into account that, I can clearly see it. I just don't believe it because the way Drake is moving right now and the way Kanye is moving right now is a clear difference. It's clear contrast in the way Drake is going up and the way Kanye is going down. And let's address that too, because Pusha T wasn't really candid about Kanye's political affiliation, and we're not going to get into that either. I'm just going to say that I've been disappointed in Kanye, not because of his political affiliation, because he doesn't know anything about the party that he's representing. Not even that, he doesn't know about the things that he's trying to do, pretty much, if that makes sense. Like the Music Modernization Act is something that, him and Kid Rock more than him, but they've been trying to get that done for a long, long time, and now artists who released music before the 70s or before a period in the 70s will now be able to get royalties from streaming services. So that's a very, very good thing for artists. It makes things clearer for generations of artists to come. If you're putting out music, here's what you're going to get from it. Here's what your producer, here's what your engineer, here's what everybody's going to get from it. So it makes things a little bit clearer. But other than that, I don't know if he knows what he's doing this for. Usually it's for a rollout.
So you think he's out here rocking with the right crowd, so to speak, without knowing all the knowledge?
I don't think he cares, and that's what's so reckless about this. Please get out and vote. I don't care who you vote for. Get out and vote. What I do care about is that you do your research about the candidates that you're trying to elect to get in office. There is nothing worse than somebody going to the polls and checking boxes. I would rather you stay your ass at home and not vote at all.
Play some Suka.
If you're gonna vote, do your research and your due diligence. This is so important. This is so crucial, not only for the future of my parents and my grandparents, but myself and my kids and their kids. This is the one time you have a chance to really, really shape the future. And like I said before, I don't care what party you vote for. That's what makes this country so great. The fact that you can vote for whoever the hell you want to. Just know who you're voting for and know what your values are. And if you find a candidate with that values, I don't care if they're Donald Trump. I don't care who they are. Vote for who you want to vote for, because it's nothing more beautiful than using your voice to vote for somebody that you think can make a difference in your life for the better. With that being said, with Kanye West, I don't think Kanye West knows anything about anything right now. He's a genius when it comes to music. I think he's in a bubble, so he's not exposed to anything else that happens around him. The stuff that he's doing with criminal justice reform, fantastic. The stuff that Kim Kardashian is doing with criminal justice reform, fantastic. But what is your end goal? And Pusha T, they asked him, and he gave the same answer that Chance the Rapper did a couple weeks ago. He said, me and him can disagree. He said, if he campaigns with Trump to get Trump reelected in 2020, he said that will not stop him from having a relationship with Kanye West. But he did say he made a phone call to Kanye after SNL.
Why do you think people want to, let's not say take offense, but just they feel like Kanye is all right and is just acting a little crazy for some sort of result? Why do you think that is?
Because he opened up the door for it with the mental health rollout. And I call it a rollout because he literally just said a few weeks ago that he had his brain tested and that there's nothing wrong with him. And as somebody who has gone through mental health issues with anxiety and depression and stuff like that, that's really, really disheartening, because now when you're doing this and you're saying, oh, I'm fine, I'm off my meds, I'm good. Dude, take your medicine.
Yeah.
That's crucial. I take medicine. There's nothing wrong with it. It helps because I know that there's nothing I can do about the condition in my brain. That's just a chemical imbalance with your brain. There's nothing to be ashamed about it. There's a stigma, especially in the African American community, in the black community about mental health. If you're a black male, you're not supposed to be depressed. You're not supposed to be anxious. You're supposed to just let it go. And I don't subscribe to that as somebody who's had those issues for the better part of my life. It's like I deal with it because I don't have a choice. It's either deal with it or die.
Right.
It's a life or death situation with this. You know, so to see him with the Ye rollout saying, "Oh, I hate being bipolar. It's awesome," on the album cover, and then 2 months later say, "Nope, just kidding." It's reckless. It's dangerous. But he's giving people an option to say, "Oh, his mental health isn't where it needs to be." Obviously, he is suffering from something. And I say that because he said it. I'm not saying it because I'm speculating because I'm a doctor. I'm saying it because he said it. There's an album cover right now on all your streaming services that lets you know what he thought. So I think it's reckless for him to give that message to his fans and then his fans say, "You know what? Cool. I can get off of my medicine and I can be okay." Not everybody's Kanye West. Not everybody has that support system. It can be really, really dangerous.
Not everybody has handlers that'll just swoop in and take your phone from you or take the microphone from you or get you out of somebody's face before you, insult them to the point where you've lost it on a fan or just in somebody in the general public. This could be potentially bad in the years to come.
And I don't want to bring his name up in his context because I want him to rest in peace. But with Mac and the struggles that he had late in his life, his admitted struggles that he had late in his life, how dare you, after we just lost Mac, use this and say now that you're okay, that you're fine. You're not okay. You're not fine. Mac wasn't fine.
Mac was not fine.
Mac was not fine.
And I think I told you, if you listen back, directly after his death and people were posting his music from, the years leading up to his passing, on some of these albums, there were songs that were like, "I have the fame, but there's something wrong with me." You heard it. It was a clear message in a bunch of different tracks on a bunch of different albums.
It seems like we hear a lot from people who are famous telling us that you don't want to be famous. And I think with the climate that we're in especially, we need those people to fight for us because ultimately they're going to shape the way things go, not only in entertainment, but in journalism, in sports, because it all intertwines.
Yeah.
It's all at the end of the day going to turn into the same shit. It's all media. It's all media. So
it's all entertainment.
You see Drake on a show with LeBron. LeBron is a known supporter of Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick, who has had a lot of detractors, especially the President of the United States. It all ties in. I can do that with plenty of people. Not just Drake, not just LeBron. I can do that with Kanye. Not just Kaepernick. I can do it with Kanye. It all ties into something else. So it's just a responsibility that I don't know that he doesn't care to have, but I really want to see what Kanye does. I want to know what the end goal is. And so does Push, and that's what Push said. So I hope this ends here because we've had two really, really good albums in Daytona and Scorpion come out this year. You can argue which one is better. That's not my job for you to argue what you want to think. But I need this. I just want this to stop. It's like we've had so many great albums overshadowed by bullshit that it's really, really...
It's disheartening.
It's disheartening. And don't get me wrong, I love the competition. I love the competition aspect of it. And so does Push. You know, Pusha T said that he listened to Scorpion and that he rocked with Mob Ties and that his favorite song on the album is Jaded.
I can believe that.
So, at the end of the day, to Pusha T, he said it was never personal. This was all a competition. And I just hope that it may not happen. I just hope that one day these two will be able just to sit down and say, all right, either this got too far or all right then, let's agree to disagree before this gets out of hand. I don't think it will get the violence, but...
I really hope it doesn't. I don't think it will either, but I really hope it doesn't.
But you never know.
You never know. Especially with both sides being...
There's
a history with both sides.
We know who Drake is connected to.
Yeah.
We know who Pusha T is connected to.
Definitely know who he's connected to.
Their camps are heavy hitters. They have people backing them that you don't see them for a reason.
Yeah.
You
For
can
sure.
make fun of Drake's street cred, but he hangs out with people who
it's
have
there.
street cred.
It's there. Yeah.
And Pusha T, he may be, the president of good music, and of course he has the cocaine bars, but Pusha T,
He was out here, bro.
he had some hitters as well.
At one point in time, he was out here with the hitters. At one point in time.
Pusha T is a hitter.
He is. Let's just leave it at that. Pusha T is a hitter.
He is a hitter. He's a very methodical hitter. He's a very smart guy. Both of these guys are very intellectual, gentlemen. They're good representations, I think, of our community and our culture. And it will just be good to see them, at the end of the day, sit down and squash all this. Even if we don't get a song, even if we don't see it publicly, for them just to sit down and squash this. But this has been going on since Mr. Me Too.
Yeah. It's about time the shit ends.
Since Lil Wayne was wearing Bape and Clips and Pharrell were rocking with Mr. Me Too. That's how long this has been going on. There was a bar there. You remember Mr. Me Too? There was a bar on that song.
Oh, favorite song.
Oh, man. What was that bar? He was talking about, like, people trying to dress like them and rocking the shoes and stuff. I don't know what came first. The Wayne comment about Clips or that song about Wayne wearing Bape. But one of those came. And that sparked it off from there. Since then, we've had collaborations between the two camps. And we've had beefs between the two camps. But it just needs to stop. It just needs to stop. We've gotten the entertainment out of it. Even this, I'm still glued. I'm still going to listen.
Yeah.
But I feel dirty almost,
Oh, yeah, for sure. You don't feel the same when you know that there's potential lives at stake listening to these things. You really don't.
Right, and we're not saying it's going to break out, and we don't think it's going to break out, but crazier things have happened this year. You don't know. You don't know. There are people who ride hard. You remember the Eminem and Machine Gun Kelly beef?
Yeah.
There was a dude who randomly walked up to Machine Gun Kelly at a bar and, called him and his friends out or whatever.
And that was reckless.
And, yeah,
That's
that was
a wild
reckless.
boy.
That guy, yeah, because MGK is kind of...
That's a wild boy.
Yeah. And all you saw was, hey, you... And then the phone dropped. And the next time you saw this guy, he had, like, a big wallop on his head, and he was yelling on TMZ. So, fans may get an idea. And you don't wish that. Because, you have fans and you have stans.
At the end of the day, you just have to realize and understand that everybody's breathing the same damn air. Everybody's bleeding the same blood. We're all walking the same damn earth. For however long it may be here. We're all walking this shit together. Like,
yeah. And in closing, on a lighter note, I was telling you off of the air, off of the podcast, but for our listeners out there, Pusha T also divulged some very, very important information that I know you all want to hear. He owns like 40% of the Arby's jingle? He owns 40% of the Arby's jingle.
that's lit.
The We Have the Meats, that's Pusha T.
Is that Ving Rhames' voice in that? I always thought it was.
It has to be Ving Rhames.
Okay. Yeah, nobody else sounds like him. You're right.
I just know that every time that I listen to those commercials, I think he's going to come behind me and like put me in a headlock like he did to Tyrese and Baby Boy.
Oh, man.
On that note, I want to thank everybody for joining me for the second episode of The Moody Project. Remember to follow me on Twitter at StephenMoodyTV. Follow the show at The Moody Project. This is available on SoundCloud and iTunes right now. If you're listening to this on one of those platforms, thank you. TheMoodyProject.com, that's where you can listen to past episodes. And on YouTube.com/TheMoodyProjectTV, that's where you can watch this in video form if you want to. Thank you guys for joining us. I can't wait for episode 3. Merchandise is coming soon. I got my first shirt. I want to give a shout out to the company that helped make it. That is Big Frog in Savannah. I'm not getting paid for this, but you guys were super nice, super kind. You sat down with me and helped me tinker the design so we were able to get a product out that looks fresh on a shirt. That's coming soon.
Hey, we getting dad hats?
Yeah, we're getting dad hats. And I promised my friend Taylor Corrette a hacky sack. So I got to get that made. I don't know where the hell I can get a hacky sack made. But TC is coming. Thank you guys for joining us for the Moody Project. We'll be back next week with more. Stay tuned. Listen to the music. And at the end of the day, it's all for you. Charles, you want to shout out your SoundCloud and your Twitter and Instagram?
IG is conscious_nice. SoundCloud is soundcloud.com/sounds like nice. Twitter @sounds like nice. Very generic with all that. I'm out here, man. I got an album on the way. This is the very first time I'm plugging this album shamelessly. I don't have a name for it yet. I feel like it's just going to be like the Me album. I'm cool with that. That's what I want. Yeah, so look for that 2019 album from your boy C Nice, a.k.a. Charles Jackson. We out here.
I'm writing poopity scoop bars as we speak for a feature. But no, and that goes for all of the independent artists. I've said it last week. I'm going to keep saying it until somebody sends me some music. For all you independent artists out there, whether it be on SoundCloud, on YouTube, if you have work that you want to be highlighted, hit me up on Twitter. I gave you the addresses on Twitter. Hit Charles up on Instagram or on Twitter. We want to highlight your work. At the end of the day, we're all content creators. Let us grow together. Let's talk. DM me. Let's talk so we can get your music out there and let's build this platform together. Thanks everybody for joining us for week 2